After closing the first part, I am now going to make the bolt. Go ahead and click New Part to get my new part. Verifying that I'm in inches, pounds, and seconds. I'm now going to start my first part of this from the top plane. I will then go to Sketch, start my sketch, and start with a circle at the origin. I'm going to start with dimensioning this as a 1-inch circle, so it matches the hole in my board. In all actuality, this should actually be slightly smaller than an inch if it was designed to fit in place, but SolidWorks will treat things that fit perfectly as though they are, again, perfect. So we're okay to do this here for simplicity's sake. I'm going to go ahead and exit this sketch, go to Features, and extrude it. I'm going to bring it up 1 inch. Next, I'm going to create the head of the bolt. Like most bolts, this is going to have a hexagon head. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that surface at the top of this cylinder, and that's what I'm going to use to start my sketch. Also going to hit the space bar and grab the top view. Zoom out a little bit though to give myself some room to work because the head will be larger than the cylinder. Right here is a polygon tool. I'm going to go ahead and click the polygon tool. Now what you want to do is you want to make sure that you're creating a 6-sided object, and you're doing so with what's called an inscribed circle. As you can see after I draw it, my polygon has a circle inside it that touches the lines at each midpoint. I did that because one of the ways that I'm going to size this regular polygon is actually by dimensioning the diameter of that circle at 1.5. That sizes that up. I will not need to dimension individual legs because this is, again, a regular polygon. This is important because for this being a bolt head, if we were to put a wrench on it, the wrenches are sized by the distance from the flat surface to the flat surface. Okay? So I would need a 1.5-inch wrench. That's why I'm sizing it this way, as opposed to using the other option in Polygon, which was a circumscribed circle. That circle would have touched at each of the points. So I'll use a circumscribed circle if I want to measure my polygon from point to point. I'll use an inscribed if I want to measure it from basically midpoint to midpoint or surface to surface. So depending on what you want, that's why you use the different ones. Now you'll notice right now this is not fully defined, and that is because I could grab this shape and I could rotate it. So what I want to do is I want to force one of these either the top or the bottom edge to be horizontal. It's actually a very quick process. When I click on it, there's this little shortcut menu that comes up. And the first 2 options are make vertical or make horizontal. I'm going to click make horizontal. So that now this is flat. This has to be horizontal. I've got 1.5 inches here, and the polygon is centered at the origin. I should now be fully defined, and I am. I'm going to exit the sketch, use Control-7 to go isometric, zoom out slightly so I can see what I'm doing. Go to Feature and do Extrude Boss Base. Now I'm going to extrude up. Now since I've already done an extrude, it remembers what that distance was. In this case, I don't want a 1-inch tall head. That's way too tall. So I'm going to do a 1/2-inch tall head, typing in 1/2 and letting it convert and do the math for me. This is our basic bolt shape. Now, for functionality, this would never work. You would never be able to put the bolt inside to the hole because this is not tapered off at all. You need that taper in order to start the bolt into the hole. So we're going to do that using a tool called Chamfer. Chamfer is over in the Modify section. However, you won't see it out in the normal menu. It's a version of fillet, but instead of ending up with a rounded corner, we end up with a straight cut corner. So when you drop this down, chamfer is your option. Chamfer and fillet work the same, work very similarly, in that I'm going to pick what I want to chamfer, which is this right here. I'm going to be able to set a distance. The distance I'm going to set is 0.125 or 1/8 of an inch. You can type it in either way. And I'm going to have it do a 45-degree chamfer. I could change this. There are also other options that I have down under chamfer options, as well as there are different ways to do chamfers. This one is just a regular angle and distance. If I had something that was not symmetrical, I could pick the two distances. Those are the two most commonly used ones. And I'm going to pick OK. I now have that tapered off so that I would be able to start the bolt into the hole. The other parts that I need to add for realism is the fact that this, with sharp edges around the face of the top and around each corner, I would not be able to put a wrench on here unless I pounded it on with a hammer. That not really being conducive to the way bolts work, we're going to need to round these edges. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get fillet, and as I do, I will set my radius first, hit enter, and make sure that full preview is turned on so I can see exactly what I'm doing. Now this is going to be one of those careful times where you have to be very careful to pick just the edge we want to round. If I click on the whole face like this, it'll do it, but that is not what I want at all. So I can either click on it again or right click it over here to remove it from the list. I'm going to very carefully pick my edges and rotate. Doesn't matter if your shape starts to flip around as long as you can see what you need to see. There, there, and the last one up here. So I should have 6 edges in there, and I can look at it or do Control-7. See it from the top. I've rounded all of those corners. Got 6 edges here. I'm good to go. I'm going to go ahead and accept that. Now, this is better, but I still wouldn't be able to get the wrench over this edge. I'm going to round this top corner. Now, based on what I just showed you, you would probably push fillet, set this at 1/8 of an inch, 4.125, your choice, and start clicking each of these individual edges, which would mean you'd click a line, then a curve, then a line, then a curve, then a line, then a curve. The better way to do that is to actually just get on the surface itself. You'll notice I get the whole border, and when I click, I'm getting all the way around here. This is how I want to create my bolt. So I'm going to accept that fillet. I've now got everything filleted and chamfered the way I need it. I will save this as bolt. In the same location. I will edit my materials. And at this point, we can pick it from the simple list here and tell it that it is plain carbon steel. You'll see it, the appearance change. I'm going to save it again before I close out to move on to the next steps.